First up, I wanted to say a huge thank you to everyone who signed up for the channel memberships. Lots of new faces on the Patrons Discord, which I guess I'm going to have to come up with something new to call it, but like, the Patrons and Members Discord isn't exactly pithy. Currently, the emojis that I've decided to use are PerspectiveEnd blushing provided by Dromus so very long ago, and the classic PE rage face from all the roasts, which sadly has to be harshly cropped because my logo doesn't play well in a 1x1. Also, I don't know what I'm going to have leading up to it, but I know that for the highest tier of badges reserved for the people who've been members the longest, they will receive the coveted PerspectiveEnd. Though I can't apply that till I come up with the other levels leading up to it. Also, what is this 60-month nonsense? You'd have to be a channel member for 5 straight years to get a PerspectiveEnd. I don't want people to have to be on there for longer than this channel has existed to reach the final tier. Why can't I just make it so that we get caps out at like the first year or something? If you've got suggestions for emojis and badges, I'd love to hear them. But I do want them to be relevant to the channel. Don't just say the Autobot logo or something. Like Needlenose Intensifies is on the shortlist for being one of the few emojis that I'm allowed to give you guys. So do you guys want that? Anyways, I've finally gotten far enough into my backlog that I can justify doing figures that aren't even remotely timely anymore. So it's Gamer Edition Megatron! But first, your likes! Please give, and maybe subscribe. Yeah, I've been meaning to cover this thing for almost a year now. I had this before I had Barricade, so I'm happy to finally get this out of my system. At such long last, I get to say, I like this thing. So much more than I thought I would. I swear to God I'm not a contrarian. Normally, I despise this design aesthetic. I hate the War for Cybertron look, and recently I had a breakthrough understanding as to why that is. Their chests are way too puffy. That's like 90% of it, actually. For real, reducing the bloated torsos to something that looks livable instantly increases my tolerance for these designs to a disgusting extent. They go from hideous to decent to me, and this is kind of doing that. Like, his torso could still slim down a little, and the hips could use some work, which is kind of the case for all of the designs in the War for Cybertron games. Like issue number 1, the torso being too fat by like several feet front to back, and issue number 2, childbearing hips. But now that the chest is in reasonable scale to the rest of the body, I can actually appreciate the really cool design of the arms. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like 100% of what I think makes this design now look cool are in fact the arms. They're meaty and powerful, and the extra red really spices them up. The asymmetry doesn't bother me as much as normal. Honestly, it almost enhances it. It's really too bad that the arms don't form together in the alt mode so that way red goes to red and gray to gray. That would be really dope, but sadly one of the arms just hides away completely. Anyways, these are the aspect of this design that I'm really here for. The legs, not so much. And it's not just the really ugly kibble on the front of them. Like guys, it should not have been this much of a non-downgrade to not flip in the leg pieces. Face the wrath of the triple or maybe quadruple negative, everyone. Even I don't know if what I just said is what I mean. Why the fuck would you idiots put open joints like that on the front is what I'm asking. But even if it weren't for those, I would just not be into the bell bottoms made out of triangles. And why does it look like Megatron is wearing pervert shoes? Even up the legs like you did with the glorious arms, and then give him a pair of kicks that doesn't make me think that I'd be scarred for life by watching his home movies, and I might even call this a really cool Megatron design. Like the back frame sticking up over his shoulders is awesome and threatening in a weird kind of robo-Victorian way. The left shoulder spike's got a vibe, and it's really fun to hinge them back up using the other shoulder piece. He's gangly without looking weak. Why is it that I am the person who has tolerance for this? Well, all of this except for the face. They seem to have done away with a Beakertron mouth so he doesn't look dumber than Sin anymore, but replacing it with the biggest, most petulant crybaby pout in the universe ain't it, Chief. At best, he just looks like he smelled a really bad fart. And at worst, he looks like you just told him that you aren't going out for ice cream even though he really, really wants it and he's been a good boy all day. God, this expression makes me want to kick his ass so bad. Imagine the 86 movie when Optimus has Megatron at gunpoint. Instead of doing the "No more Optimus Prime, grant me mercy, I beg of you" bit, he just looked up at Prime with this face. How immediately hilarious is that scene? So for looks, I like it. It's weird that I do, but I do. It's the arms that are doing all of the heavy lifting, and the rest of the body no longer being ugly enough to get in the way of that. But it for once actually works for me, which hilariously means that it doesn't work for most people. There are some other cool details in there that I appreciate, but it's just mostly the gun show, honestly. It also helps that since this is a figure that I just have in my hand, I can flip the fusion cannon the right way around. Speaking of the accessories, if I turn this the way that I'm sure that people are screaming at me to, yep, that is just instantly such a downgrade. Even fucking worse of one if I do the whole stupid weapon arm thing from the game. The fusion cannon is such an iconic look, and the fact that it seems like half this franchise is ashamed of it is baffling to me. Look, I know that all rocket launchers are flared out to the front for some reason. No wait, that's a fucking tuba. Oh right, all rocket launchers actually go the other way, don't they? Must just be an aesthetic preference, right? This looks cool going the correct way, and cancerous going the other way. If you put this on the way the game had it, you need to ask your doctor if antipsychotics are right for you. His other accessory is a big old mace, and I could not give less of a shit about this weapon. Yes, I know it's a reference to the dumbest sequence in G1, and that's really saying something. Look, I am sick of pretending that the laser hand fight in episode 2 is anything other than one of the worst things in the whole franchise. 1, weapon hands. You know how I feel about those. I don't care that they were in the second episode of the show ever. Everyone always brings that up, but you know why they never should? The fact that they never did it again after that. But 2, laser chain. Yes, I'm sure that works. Honestly, how silly of me to think that light doesn't have mass or tensile strength. So look, the fusion cannon is what you should expect from Megatron. If you are into the mace, that's well done too. Though it is a crime that they didn't make the neck long enough that you can plug it into the head through his fist. As for posability, it's actually a lot better than you think. Head has a strong down, a solid up, better than normal side to side, and a full rotation. Shoulders pull a 90, maximum elbows. Cheating for narcissists, hips are unimpeded in all directions, the stupid knee spikes that seem to exist only to prevent you from bending the legs as much as you should want for insane reasons aren't actually a problem. You can cut them off, but you don't actually need to. Just untransform the legs a little and they will slip right under and allow the knees for more than 90. No damage necessary. Seriously though, why the fuck is this here? Hasbro, were you like, the figure's too good, we need to ruin it a bit so that way they don't realize they deserve better with most figures? A foot with a slight rocker in both directions, a solid toe up, and a massive toe down. So yeah, even given the stupid intentional knee blockers that you can just shave down without repercussions, this is significantly better than normal posing for a Voyager. Basically everything has more range than normal, even though they tried to literally kneecap it. Then I figured that I probably shouldn't, but I do actually really like the transformation. It's not doing anything too particularly clever, but there is a certain satisfaction that I get to a lot of these steps. Though the barrel parts forming is truly lame. It's kind of excessively weird that his right arm is just bent at the elbow underneath him, and you call it a day. It pegs in down there, but you cannot do that step and it changes literally nothing. In fact, I don't bother pegging in either arm. One flat out is unnecessary and just makes the transformation less fun, and the other one just makes the alt mode worse. Which, once more, I actually like this a lot more than the in-game model. I know that's sacrilege, but rather than just being a gun set between a hovering carriage, it's a gun mounted on one. Which means that if you say fuck it to the actually intended conversion, you do have a rotating turret. Which is kind of mounted extremely far forward, but I'll take that. So color me impressed. I think that this is so much cooler than normal. I mean, it's still a stupid idea because hover tanks in general are always a stupid idea. How are you going to avoid flipping a tank onto its roof when it's firing a cannon in a frictionless environment? There is a reason helicopters don't ever have 120mm cannons welded to them. Making a Transformers figure into a hover tank is also always going to be silly because the thing obviously can't hover in real life, so it's just going to be sitting on the table looking like the damn thing is switched off. And hover tanks roll like shit too. You can fold up the arm and make it look like the tank has half of a normal turret, and that's almost really cool. But I still like this alt mode, at least a little. I know that game accuracy purists are going to have a fit about this mode, but at least it manages to be fun. The inaccuracies of it aren't just down to the intentional ways that I get this wrong, like having the cannon so it's flipped the direction that makes it actually look good, or not plugging in the arm right. It does just have the cannon sit way more proud than it's supposed to, and I don't really see there being a way to defend that. It's wrong because they couldn't figure out how to do it better, not because they were actually going for something. And the weird thing about the whole Enterprise is that I should hate everything about this, and I actually kind of like it a decent amount. The aesthetic I hate about these designs, massively reduced. The posing, really good, even when they try to sabotage themselves. The transformation, not particularly clever, but still reasonably fun. And the alt mode, more what I want to see, even if I just wish it were a more normal ground-based vehicle. But the simple fact of the matter is that this should not be for me. This should be for the fans. Why produce this at all if you aren't doing it to please the people who've always loved the design? I mean, I guess they got one new person on board with this, but I'm a freak, and even I don't get why I'm happy with this thing. But more importantly, I would actually prefer to not be happy here if it meant that true fans got what they wanted. Though I will continue to wish on my own that the game's art style had always been more in line with this, and honestly had probably even gone a bit further. It ain't no micro masterpiece to be sure, but I still like it. And before we go, let's thank a patron. And this time it's Jazzy Drifter with MP Soundwave, as everyone's should be. I don't know how many times I have to sing the praises of the MP Soundwave from the mountaintops until it's enough, but I think I'm probably going to die before I reach that point. It is an incredibly fun, fantastically posing, amazing figure with all of those awesome vibes that the characters always had, and with the best transformation of all time. The only problem with this figure is that it is out of print at this point, and that some of the knockoffs that you can buy are of dubious quality. Always research the specific knockoff you are planning on buying before you do. Also, the one with the individually posable fingers is like the worst one. That is not an upgraded version, and it is not official. I've seen multiple people make that mistake. Don't get duped with that one, it is trash. And that's not half what I have to say, but it's enough what I have to say. And I know, you know, what everyone else tells you to do at the end of these videos. So, if you liked what you saw here, please do that. And if you'd like to take it a step further, then please, share this video with any friend you think may be interested. I hope you all enjoyed listening to me waste your time.